evening, everyone, and welcome back to the RotoWire After Dark Champions League program. My name is Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart. I am joined, as usual, by Ryan Belongia. And Ryan, the Champions League is finally here. We're here to preview this DraftKings Champions League four-gamer slate on Tuesday, September 17th. Ryan, UEFA did us dirty putting the games over 3 days, so we only have a four-game slate, but I still think there's plenty of fun to be had here. I don't know, how you feeling with Champions League back, Ryan?
Yeah, happy to have it back. Excited to watch. We get one extra day. Yeah, like you said, we got 4 game slates now instead of 6. Yeah, a little annoying, but still nice. An extra day. Some Champions League on Thursday as well. We'll see if the contest can hold up for that long. We've had some pretty big overlay the last couple days. Soccer lobby might be in trouble, but I don't know. We've said that before, and we're still here, right? Yeah, this slate. You know, I think it's more interesting than at first glance. Like, we have Bayern Munich, massive favorites, 2.72 total at home against Dinamo Zagreb, and then Madrid at home against Stuttgart, big favorites, 2.4 total. So, it might be as simple as jam Munich and Madrid. I mean, Bayern Munich's pretty tough because really everyone except Kane is probably going to get subbed. Like, you can't really pencil anybody in for more than 70 minutes or so, any of the attackers besides Kane. So, it's risky to use other Bayern Munich pieces. But maybe it's as simple as just, play Kane and Mbappe and move on. I mean, there'll be enough value. I hope it's not that simple. I mean, I like some of these other spots. It's also, lineups are going to be a few lineup things will be pretty important. Like, I see we have Arda Güler in now for Madrid, and he's only 4,400 for some reason. Would be taking set pieces. Not going to play 90, with Jude back on the bench, but still that'll be an important piece. And maybe some Sporting Lisbon we'll talk about when we break down the forward position. But yeah, Jack, I don't know. Are you just gonna jam Bayern? I feel like a lot of people will try to do that.
It definitely seems like a good route to jam Bayern. So, Ryan, in Champions League, I'm too busy during the day. I'm going to be a one lineup bro, my worst EPL max entry bro enemy. But I don't know. The Bayern pieces seem really tempting. I mean, they're going to have a massive implied goal total as signaled by the cheat sheet. Kane's pretty affordable for the best goal scoring odds on the slate. Jamal Musiala is underpriced at 6,500. People are going to want to play Joshua Kimmich. And a shout out to Derek Ray for teaching me how to say his name correctly. For 6,600, taking most of the set pieces. But is his floor that good? You can definitely go to war with 4 Bayern Munich pieces and then play Arda Güler. It seems pretty reasonable in cash games, Ryan, especially when the totals are that big. But I'm tempted by other individual one-offs in slightly worse spots. I don't really want to play Kylian Mbappe because he screwed me over so many times last season in Champions League. And I've heard that Mbappe has struggled a little bit. I mean, he's finally scored some goals for Real Madrid, but Real Madrid, I've heard anecdotally, our team that's kind of struggling to find its best formation with their new star power. And Ryan, there's some cheaper names who have some big upside. Your boy Victor Gyökeres, I'll let you wax poetically about him in the Lisbon game. On the other side, you have Zagrova, who looks like a floor animal in Liga Un. So I feel like in GPPs, Ryan, you definitely want to take a heavy dose of Bayern, a heavy dose of Real Madrid. But I don't think I just want to full on stack them. I think there could be some big performances from a couple individual players. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I really like some players in that Sporting game, especially on the Sporting side. They seem a little bit too cheap. Basically, all of Sporting, probably because you got Madrid and Bayern Munich. Yeah, you mentioned Goalkeeper. He's only 7,300. That feels pretty cheap for how good he is, the form he's been in. He takes pens, plays 90 almost every game. He scored a ton of goals already this year. Yeah, we were hoping Arsenal would sign him. Um, Seems like, yeah, one of the best forwards in the world right now. Maybe the second best number 9 in the world, in my opinion. Like he's sort of like right behind Holland. Sort of that type of player. Just not quite as big and strong and fast, but in that mold. Um, and then yeah, the other Sporting guy. I guess we can get into forward. We don't have him projected in the lineup, but I've seen other um, lineups have this Giovanni Kenda. I don't even know how you pronounce his last name. Kenda would be my guess, but he's been taking set pieces. 17-year old, like seems to be a really promising player. Um, and if he doesn't start, this Jenny Katamo would split sets. So I mean, Sporting is going to have a guy in the 4K range splitting sets. So I think that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I just tried building out a cash lineup. If we get Arda starting, I mean, it's really easy to just play Mbappe, Kane, Arda, and Kimmich. Maybe it's ends up being a really straightforward slate. You probably play Musiala too, even if you want. There's your 5. Um, yeah, that's not very fun, but seems pretty simple.
Ryan, would you rather play Mbappe or Vinny Jr. in the current Real Madrid setup? Because I think it would be defensible to consider playing Vinny instead. Just a little bit better open play floor. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being mentally weak because I've been snake bitten by Mbappe in the past, but I feel like I can take Vinny Jr. to the bank in just about any good spot in European competition.
Yeah, no, that seems fine. I didn't mean to just say
It's the
Mbappe
same
like it wasn't a
construction.
decision. Yeah, it's the same thing. To be honest, I don't really know. Like you said, this is a new version of Madrid with Mbappe there. They haven't been playing together that long. It's been some ups and downs. Mbappe scored some goals recently. I'd be more nervous to fade Mbappe. It just seems like he hits a ceiling more often. But yeah, I mean, either one of them is fine.
Yeah, either one of them will be very good. I'm going to filter out to the forward position. Actually, it'll be mostly forwards that are dominating. We can just break down the position. But as you said, Ryan, especially if Arda Güler starts, and even if he doesn't, because you have this guy, I already forgot his name. You have Lisbon cheap forwards to play. Was it Giovanni Kenda or
Kenda?
Kenda? It's always fun in the first week of Champions League when we get to try to figure out everyone's
I've never
name.
heard his name pronounced. I see it as Kenda. Somebody who knows these Portuguese pronunciations maybe can let us know. But yeah, I forget what your question was, but like 4,200, that's a crazy price. I mean, he's gonna get subbed, so it's like 60 or 70 minutes, but he's split corners in every game that he's played, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, just mapping out the construction, you can use a cheap. There's going to be cheap players, even if Goulet doesn't start, that you can play. It doesn't seem like defender is going to be a priority with Liverpool in an unideal spot. And I'm not even sure how good Liverpool. I said Liverpool. It feels like a fool to play some of the fullbacks recently. Shout out to my cash game team over the weekend that had Andy Robertson. It just doesn't feel like defender's a priority. So you're able to do that either way. But maybe when we're picking and choosing between all of these forwards, Ryan, we can at least take a look. I mean, Mbappe is the most expensive. You already said that he has a slightly better ceiling than Vinny Jr. The goal odds certainly agree with that. I feel like Kane is just a shoe in at 10,400. He has like an 8-point floor in Bundesliga play. So he's going to rack up shots. I don't feel like you're really risking a 4 spot from him whatsoever. And more likely than not, he scores at least 1 goal or contributes an assist. So feels like good chalk there, especially in tournaments. Like fading Kane feels a bit psychotic, but maybe you do it if you just believe in the Real Madrid side more. I mean, as we're moving down ballot, Ryan, if Goulet doesn't start, Rodrigo is 8,800, has been taking some set pieces. Do you still want to spend up, or do you just not think you really need the savings from someone like Mbappe to take a few corners from Rodrigo?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I'm looking at Madrid right now. I see Goulart started over the weekend, played 77 minutes, didn't take any corners. Modric was in there though and took them all. But even Rodrigo's still been taking here and there. I guess you'd figure it'd be a split, but I just see, Goulart hasn't been taking like that many corner kicks for Real Madrid yet, although he's only started 2 matches this season. I don't know. Yeah, I think Rodrigo would be fine. So he should split sets, maybe more than fine. I mean, for cash at least, I think it just depends if Modric is in there. We don't have him in there right now, so then yeah, Rodrigo splitting sets seems pretty good for 8,800. If he didn't start though, like for cash games, yeah, I don't know. I think it changes the construction. I can't decide if I want him to start or not, just in general for tournaments. Meaning like I'd like him not to start because there's some midfielders to pay for that I think will be tough for people to get to if they try to jam expensive forwards. But on the other hand, that's still true even if he does start, and then their ownership goes down even more. So, but like, do you want to try to fade a 4,400 Goulart? At least, that's what I'm thinking for tournaments at least. But yeah, I don't know, Jack. I just rambled on. I forgot your even initial question. I think I would punt. I would punt a forward spot if we didn't play him in cash games. At least that's what I was thinking at the start. I think someone on Sporting is going to be a pretty good punt.
Yeah, I think I was just asking, if because I noticed Rodrigo was on some set pieces. If you might prefer him at a slight discount, because you might get to beef up your goalkeeper, you might get to beef up a defender position if you feel like you need to do that. It's not something I really want to do because I feel like there'll be
maybe though. Like he seems, Rodrigo with half the sets might be like a little underpriced, just in relation to the other Madrid guys. At least I think he would be a good cash play. But yeah, you have to fade one of those top guys. Like to play him, you still have to fade like a guy with a massive ceiling. But Rodrigo also has a ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't really have an opinion on it. I feel like he has less ceiling in him than, less bailout equity than Vinny Jr. or Mbappe. But you're like, oh, he has a little bit better floor with set pieces. But I just don't think corners are going to pay the bills in this matchup. There's a huge implied goal total. So he's almost more of a tournament play, because if corners go his way, maybe he gets like a mini Andreas Pereira type matchup where he gets a lot of corners and then all he needs is 1 goal to keep up with everyone else. That's kind of interesting, but that's not really a cash game angle, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, good point.
But Ryan, in all formats, I mean, the Bayern forwards are going to be interesting. I pulled up their minutes on the Team Trends tab, which you can get if you're a RotoWire sub, rotowire.com/soccer trial. This is a nice tool just to visualize how all the minutes are working out. And you'll see that all the Bayern forwards, Ryan, they sort of average a strange amount they average around 75 minutes, but their utilization hasn't quite reflected that. So Gnabry, Musiala, and Olise were all subbed off early over the weekend, perhaps in anticipation for a Champions League matchup. But you had Gnabry, he's played 90 minutes twice. You got Musiala, 90 minutes and 75 minutes. So he plays, feels good to pencil him in for 75 minutes. Olise has yet to get major run, but if he's not taking all the set pieces, he's kind of a pay up to be contrarian option at midfield. I mean, Coman, he's probably not going to start, but he was at 76. So I feel like the Bayern forwards are pretty interesting. Musiala's on the cash game table with good goal scoring odds and only 6,500. But maybe someone like Gnabry goes overlooked, Ryan. Definitely an interesting tournament name. You're playing a good piece. You're going to get discounted ownership and potentially 80 minutes or more. I don't know. Where do you think Gnabry fits in the hierarchy of forwards?
I don't think he's a cash option. I think he's fine for tournaments. I would just say that Sane has not played yet this season, but is now back. So I think you might have seen some extra minutes because of that. I mean, I think he was on the bench over the weekend. Doesn't mean he's going to play. But they still have Tell on the bench and Muller on the bench and Coleman on the bench. They have a bench player for every starter except Kane. So it makes me nervous to spend 9,400 on Gnabry. For tournaments, sure. But the only Bayern guy that I'd play in cash is Musiala, just because he's cheap. I think the others are a little bit trappy, to be honest. I don't know. I've seen this Bayern spot so many times. Going back to Kane, it feels like, the Lewandowski spot that it's really tough to fade, and pretty much a lock for cash games, and even tough to fade in tournaments. And then after that, though, they're kind of all liable to bust. Musiala's cheap, and you can probably pencil him in for a few more minutes, just because he's the second striker, and the other guys are kind of wingers, and I don't know. It just seems how they usually do it. But yeah, no, I wear the benches. A lot of attackers on that bench.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point all around. It does make them a little bit trappy. This game is 3-0, and I don't know. It's one of those situations where
I've stacked Bayern on these slates. I can think of a few, like 6 Bayern players, and it goes both ways. I don't know. It feels like it works. I don't know. It doesn't work as often as you'd think. I don't know.
I know what you mean. I mean, if Bayern was the only good spot on this slate, then maybe I'd feel a little bit differently about, getting to Gnabry and GPP formats. But it's still a really good spot for nearby priced Real Madrid players. And then you can play someone like Gyökeres for cheaper, who has probably a lot of upside, and he's going to be like the primary goal man. So you have to not only get the Gnabry call right, or whoever else you want to play, you kind of have to fade the rest of the position. And that feels like a kind of thin parlay, maybe not something a one lineup bro would do, but maybe a larger field type of move.
Yeah, and maybe it's a little better on 4-game slates, I guess, than 6-game slates. I just mean, stacking Bayern should work a little better on a 4-game slate than a 6-game slate, just because you have less guys to fade.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Ryan. Are there any other forward names we've really missed? I mean, we're not going to play people from Stuttgart and Zagreb, even in our most gigabrain ways. I mean, we haven't really talked about this AC Milan Liverpool matchup. Liverpool are slight favorites. The game has a pretty healthy total. I don't know. They're pretty expensive. Like, you're not really getting much of a discount for a matchup that is definitely at least one grade lower. I guess it's sort of the contrarian-minded way, but it's so tough to pay 10,000 for Mo Salah. I mean, how much is Luis Diaz? Not projected to start 7,600. We're not really getting a discount here, and Milan should be better at home. I can't remember if Pulisic is forward eligible, but he takes set pieces. I don't know. Do you have any interest in this game, Ryan, or do you think it's kind of like a trap that we can be like, no one's going to play it, so we got to go for it? That kind of trap. I don't know. I kind of am inclined to play the better matchups.
I have some interest in Pulisic, but he's only midfield eligible. But yeah, other than that, I pretty much agree with you. Salah is like, Salah's a good tournament play on this slate, I think, just because nobody's going to play him. It's like the contrarian low owned Salah. But yeah, I struggled to get there. But I mean, didn't these teams play last year? I think just Liverpool just dominated them in both games. Maybe that was 2 years ago. I don't know. Different team, but I mean, Salah can score 2 goals and win you the tournament for sure. So I think he's fine for tournaments.
Yeah, good shout. But I agree. I would keep the Liverpool stuff to tournaments. I mean, Ryan, have we really missed anyone at the forward position? It should be 2 expensive guys you want to play. You can use some punt options from Lisbon in your utility spot, depending on who shows up. You can join us if that lineup comes out, you can ask us in the Discord, and we can spot you that one. I think you kind of just want to play the best forwards in the best spots.
Right. There's nothing else really. Nothing from Zagreb, nothing from Stuttgart. Yeah, Liverpool only in tournaments. Milan has nothing there. There's just Lille only has Jonathan David. He's 8,400. So yeah, there's not much else there. It's Munich and Madrid with cheap Sporting, really.
Yeah. Ozzy's saying that it's going to be a spread out win for Bayern Munich 6-0. Well, we can move on to the midfield position. And I think with the single position eligibility, midfield is actually the more interesting position. So, Ryan, I think you hinted at that, saying there's some like kind of higher price guys you want to find a way to get up to because, that's not a lever that many people will pull in GPPs. I think in cash games, Joshua Kimmich is going to stick out because he takes most of the set pieces. I looked and it's not a great floor. He's averaging 6.6 floor in Bundesliga, which is typically a higher floor league. So it feels a bit trappy to me, Ryan, to play Kimmich in tournaments, though it's certainly an option in an elite matchup. Like he has really good assist upside, taking set pieces. He's a player who we've seen shoot before from distance. So not a terrible play, just one that I'm a little bit cautious on. But I mean, who do you like at midfield? You can play Pedro Pote on Lisbon. We already talked about the value in Arda Güler. What names stick out to you?
Yeah, I really like Pedro Pote. Pedro, yeah, he's Pedro Pote on DraftKings still for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, I think he could even be cash viable if you don't get Güler. Kimmich obviously for cash, like yeah, that's an easy one, 6,300. I think a great tournament fade. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be popular in tournaments too at that price. And yeah, I just think there's plenty of times where he doesn't, he scores 9 points or something. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking to get different in tournaments. Pulisic for 8,200. He's been in great form. He's like Milan's most important player, especially with this new manager. He's been their best player. I mean, we've seen this new manager like doesn't start Leao sometimes and Teo Hernandez sometimes. Like it's been much talked about. He's been beefing with both of them. I think they're supposed to start this game, but you never know. Pulisic has been great. He's going to split sets, probably play at least 80 minutes. It's a tough matchup, so it's going to keep people off, but I don't think it's too tough. I don't think he'll be as owned as he should be. So yeah, I really like him for tournaments. After that, also, yeah, Zagrova, you mentioned at the start, love him for tournaments, especially if you have Sporting guys. Just like he's really promising player. Gonna play 90, gonna split sets. He'll take all the left-footed sets. Yeah, and then he might take all who I would hope to not see Remy Cabella in there just for Zagrova's sake, because Cabella will split sets. To take at least half. I think that's what's been happening. Crazy to see Remy Cabella still playing in the Champions League, even still playing at Lille. I remember must be 10 years ago at least when Newcastle signed him. But yeah, he's like a creative number 10 and would steal sets from Zagrova. After that, yeah, Jack, Kimmich, do we think he's gonna start at defensive mid? I mean, I've seen him maybe even at right back again, like he was a couple times. Does it matter? If he starts at defensive mid, they have other guys now. They have Paulinho now. I've seen Paulinho projected to start there. We don't have him in right now. Pavlik, I don't know. Like, does it matter where he starts? Could Kimmich get subbed? I don't know.
Yeah, usually not a player who gets subbed, Ryan. I mean,
No.
it's kind of weird to me to see Conrad Leimer at right back and Kimmich at defensive mid because it's like the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. Like those are roles that both players have played and can play. So I'm not sure it really does matter as much because I think the thesis behind Kimmich is just set pieces, like plain and simple, right? And
yeah, and I think right. And I don't think he would get subbed, like you say. He just doesn't. He'll just like switch positions. I think I saw a game where Sasha Bowie started at right back and like he gets subbed and like Kimmich will just go play there if he was playing defensive mid. Yeah, I don't know. Did you like cheaper mids than that? I don't know. Or what do you think about this top range? Anyone to add or like
I
what do you
think
do?
you
What do you do
nailed
if
all.
Modric starts?
I If Modric starts, I thought about this. What is he, 7,800 though? Like he's not cheap, right?
No, like I don't know if I want Real Madrid sets that bad.
No, and I don't think he's going to play a full 90 minutes. Like last year, he was playing 70 minutes on the regular. So you're kind of spending up for set pieces on a slate where goals are going to matter a little bit more. I don't really like it in either format. Like, how is Modric going to bail you out? And now it's going to happen now that I said this, right? Like, maybe he somehow takes a penalty over Vinny Jr., or maybe he gets 2 assists. It just doesn't feel that likely. And I'd rather, like,
No.
would you rather play, Modric or have Gyökeres in utility spots? I mean, even in
Yeah,
like
not even
regular cash
close.
games, yeah, it doesn't it doesn't feel
No,
like a great decision.
no, it doesn't. Yeah, I see he played 90 on Saturday too, Modric. So
Yeah,
tough to see him going 90 here. Not that he would even still, wouldn't even really want to play him if he played 90.
yeah.
But
I don't know. No disrespect to one of the goats, but it just kind of feels like a gross. Strictly speaking, from DFS, feels like a little bit of a gross play. Ryan, I'm thinking about positional eligibility. About there's forwards only and midfield only, and it was tough to justify contrarian forwards because the forward cupboard was just so stacked. But we do agree that salary is kind of flexible on this slate with potential cheap Lisbon pieces, potential cheap Goulet, and Musiala's underpriced. He hasn't really gone full 90 minutes, but if you look at Bayern, they have Michael Elise staring you at the face, and we've seen Elise absolutely nuke slates before, especially when even in like marginal spots when he was playing on a worse team. Now he's not going to see all of like the offensive output, but I wonder about the contrarian value in Michael Elise on a slate where he's midfield only, and a lot of the midfield only options, they're in okay spots, but not the best spots. Pedro Pote is a good player, but maybe he doesn't score. And then Zagrova, he's playing for a dog and taking set pieces. So 12 points, 12 points from Pote. Maybe you get 13 points from Pulisic. It could be a situation where I could see the midfield position plays out where Elise gets an outsized score. And then you're on this weird construction that no one else has. You beat the midfield position. You might not even have to be perfect at the forward position, Ryan. It almost works like your defender theory until you ruins the theory and told everyone how to play DFS a lot better a few years ago. But I don't know. Am I a little too sick in the head? It seems like a pretty good large field consideration.
no, that's a great large field consideration. I've already made lineups like that, and yeah, I think you broke it down, or like the way you described it is how I think of it. You don't like where you don't have to have the nuts to win, or is that what you said?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Like, yeah. Um, I didn't really think of it like that, comparing it to defender or whatever, but it makes sense. And yeah, that's I hope Goulet doesn't start, because that's one aspect of this slate that is nice when you have a forward so stacked, but still maybe the cheap forwards are like better than playing cheap midfielders. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
but people won't do it because they'll just want to spend up. So yeah, it would absolutely yeah. 2 sporting forwards, spend up for Olise. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
See,
look at constructions with Olise and just one other spend up. So just one guy from Bayern or Madrid. Yeah, those constructions look pretty good to me.
yeah, and I see what you mean. So the reason that Goulet is such an annoyance for this strategy, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense at first. He's like, oh, he's cheap. It's just that'll make Elise work, right? Is that Goulet powers the 2 forward lineups. So
Exactly.
that is, and so that, yeah,
Whereas if he doesn't start, you'll get 2 forward lineups, more
and
2
they're
forward
worse.
lineups that are just dead because people will play them with, you know, pick your guy.
Junk.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know, Gravenberch or something. It's like, I don't know. I don't know why I said
Right.
Gravenberch. Sorry, but
Something like that.
yeah. Yeah, because there's not really many good punts in the midfield position outside of Goulet, Ryan, that I spotted. I mean, forgive me if I missed someone, but just, I mean, like a guy like Fede Valverde is 5,600. You're on mute.
Yeah, no, there really isn't any good midfield punts. I mean, you can try with the Bayern guy, I think. Like, it's such a good matchup, but also that, like, I think people would do that. I don't know, like Pavlovich is 3,700, Limer's 4,100. It's, those guys get assists in these matchups often enough. But also, yeah, those are, volatile plays that without much floor. So yeah, I agree. There's not really. I didn't find any good midfield punts. Our guy Fabian Reeder, if he starts, is going to split set pieces. I mean, he's not going to play. You might get 70 minutes out of him, but I'd rather play a Stuttgart guy than a Dinamo Zagreb player. I mean, Stuttgart actually have a lot of really talented players, and I don't know. You could do worse than Reeder for 3,600. He takes direct free kicks even. Why can't he score one,
Yeah, and I mean, I think if I was looking at Real Madrid game logs, I haven't been too particularly impressed with them. I mean, it features, a 1-1 draw to start the season and then 1-1 at Las Palmas. I think they got away with it at Real Sociedad. I saw that there's some like refereeing controversy there. Definitely not a Real Madrid squad. I mean, it's giga talented. I don't like to talk down about them, but they're not firing at full cylinder. It just makes a punt viable there. I mean, he doesn't really need that much to pay off, especially if Goulet doesn't start. In which case, 7 points might be enough if you get the two, nut forwards who score braces.
Yep.
Any last takeaways on midfield, Ryan?
No. I think no.
Yeah, I think did we mention Trincao? So yeah, Francisco Trincao.
He's only forward eligible.
He's only forward. Okay.
I meant to, so he's another one. Like could have 3 guys for Sporting that are 4,700 or under. Like Trincao's 47, Katamo's 46, crazy. And Kenda's 42. So like if all 3 of them start, it just seems like very likely that one ends up optimal to me. Yeah. So I'll be looking at that for tournaments. Yeah, Trincao's in play for sure.
Definitely, because you need the salary relief somewhere. I don't know. Might be too good of a suggestion, Ryan. Let's move on to the defender position. I mean, it's tough when we don't have prices, so let me pivot over to the salary, or to the position tab on the cheat sheet so you can filter everything. But Ryan, the discussion is going to be around the Liverpool fullbacks. And while I fumble with the cheat sheet, like, is it over for the Liverpool fullbacks? Is like our 2022 era of just like, oh yeah, every slate, you just throw in Robertson and TAA and you print money, bro. Like it's that easy. They're not overlapping. And it seems like the wingers are actually doing more true wing work under Arne Slot's Liverpool. And, I'm seeing Robertson almost exclusively pass it backwards as I'm tilting my face off. At least TAA is taking corners and moving around the formation a bit. And, he has some license to roam. It's just really frustrating, Ryan. So what the heck is going on with the Liverpool fullbacks?
Yeah, I think their value is not what it once was. Yeah, under the new manager. Specifically Robertson, I think a ton of his value now is tied to corners and set pieces. He has been taking more corners. Like I think from all the Liverpool games I've seen, they've switched corner side. Like they're taking all in swingers from what I've seen. So Robertson goes over to the right side and Trent comes over to the left side. They didn't used to do that. They used to be good at corners. So I don't know. That's a little bit curious, but either way, yeah. Especially in Champions League on the road, I think that doesn't help either. And you just don't see Robertson getting forward as much. I mean, and then we don't even have him projected to start either. Like we I've seen other places with Tsimikas too. Like, are they going to rotate? And even if Robertson starts, he's more of a sub risk now with Tsimikas there. And then Alexander Arnold, I prefer to play him just because I think he has more upside. like we mentioned on the EPL pod, same thing. He's going to take direct free kicks and can score from open play as well. So I have more interest in Alexander-Arnold for sure. I won't play any Robertson on this slate, but Trent has goal upside, so I think you got to keep him in there. Not that Robertson can't. I mean, Robertson just gets in the box very infrequently. I was going to say he was in there a couple times. He did have a shot on goal, like from inside the box, I believe. Like he just doesn't get in those positions as often anymore.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And I think with TAA, if I'm out here touting Michael Elise for 10,200 when he hasn't played more than 75 minutes, there's a case for spending up for TAA in a pretty brutal defender position overall, Ryan. Like Fran Garcia is 6,700. That seems a little bit crazy to me. Teo Hernandez, 6,400. That's expensive as a dog. Rafael Guerrero, 6,000. I mean, that's okay. Just you're mostly playing for a goal though, and you see that goal odds are going to boost his projection. Rudiger, 5,700. I don't know. There's just no one that screams play me in cash, especially given the other options that we want to play at forward and midfield. I mean, the first name that stood out to me was some of these Lille wingbacks, Ryan. I mean, I'm like, all right, maybe I'll just play Gudmundsson. It seems like he has a 6-point floor in league, only 4,300. I mean, what do you think is optimal? Do you scroll even down even more? Like Kim Min-jae is like 3,200. Maybe you just punt with center backs and just fuel the rest of the spots.
I think Gudmundsson is the play. Yeah, I think 4,300's a little bit too cheap for what he offers. He's a wing back. They play with wing backs, so he has goal assist upside. And then on the other side, Thiago Santos. Not a cash play just because he's more likely to get subbed, but good young player, also has goal and assist upside. Both of those two guys get in the box. I mean, it's a tough matchup. Obviously, they're underdogs in Portugal, so I wouldn't necessarily expect them to do what they do in the French league. So it's not like they're locks or anything by any means. But yeah, if I had to pick one, Gudmundsson seems decent. Punting seems fine too. Kim Min-jae, he's not a guy I really like to punt, but I mean, it's they have good clean sheet odds, so like, how bad can it be?
Is Maxi Mittelstadt seriously only 2,700? I mean, I just remember him
nuking
in Germany. Like, come on, all right, this might work. I don't
mind. That seems okay. I mean, Jack, you might not like this, but your boy Emerson for 200 more is a better play than Mittelstadt. Yeah, I think so. I hate to say it, but he's only 2,900. Only because I think just home to Liverpool is got to be better than Mittelstadt with Mbappe and Vinny Jr. to mark and Rodrigo. I mean, just the guy that's trouble. That's like got yellow card
like hell
written on it. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I think Emerson for 2,900 is okay.
Oh man, yeah, you're right. I didn't see that Emerson was 2,900. Ryan, the take that I saw on this was when, first of all, I had no idea that Emerson was even potentially starting. So it looks like David Calabria might start at right back. I've seen some projected lineups with Emerson. My theory on that was going to be, let's just jam Cody Gakpo or Luis Diaz and just absolutely print money in large field GPPs, because they'll absolutely take Emerson to the cleaners, in my opinion. Just such a frustrating player when it comes to defending. But I do have to capitulate. At 2,900, I'll play him. I mean, straw that stirs the drink. I've played a lot worse punt defenders in my life. At least Emerson can contribute with some attacking play. Too funny.
I see, I'm just checking. I see Calabria's back now. I'm just trying to, like if there's how much sub risk or whatnot, like who's first choice even in general. I don't really know. Maybe it doesn't matter for cash games, but like, I don't know. It's not going to shock me if Emerson is like a bad play and gets subbed early either. Yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty dire stuff if we're talking about Emerson versus underdog Mittelstadt in cash. That's the state of the position. Ryan, I don't know if you had a time to look at Dinamo Zagreb set piece takers, but I think I saw the last name Ristovski as someone who's taken who has at least a lot of crosses in league play. I don't know if you're able to vet their set pieces. I mean, not a really great play against Bayern, but only 3,300. So something that at least stuck out. But
That's a good question, Jack. You got me. I did not check Dinamo Zagreb set pieces from this season.
It's a pretty rude question because like
you
no
got
one's going
me.
to play Zagreb.
You got me. No, I could have though. I checked Stuttgart set pieces. I mean, I just I don't know.
Yeah,
sure, go for it. Like, can't be that much. Can't be much worse than playing Emerson or Kim Min Jae. Honestly, those guys are like both underdogs to score 5 points. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes these fullbacks just get like a couple tackles won, and like they really annoyingly outpace.
Zagreb might have 3 or 4 set pieces. I don't know if they have a defender that takes. I might play him.
All right. Well, I do not want to say that I said Rostovsky's takes set pieces. I said that I saw he has a lot of crosses in FBref. They don't log corners in the Croatian league, so what am I even paying for with that website? So something worthy of further investigation. Ryan, that was pretty depressing discussion of the defender position. I'm not going to lie. When I'm debating Emerson versus
Alexander-Arnold look a little bit better, I guess, right? Makes Alexander-Arnold look a little bit better, yeah.
Yeah, the case for playing Gyökeres and Trincao and then only one expensive forward.
What if Tsimikas starts? Is that you just treat him the same as Robertson? But Tsimikas is only 4,900. I mean he might be the most popular defender if he starts. No, am I off here? I feel like people might play him in cash.
I promise you that if the machine worked for Champions League and I projected him for 70 minutes, he would be in like 80% of the lineups if I just clicked the stupid optimize button. Yeah. So, but I'm saying this condescendingly in parentheses. I've been burned a lot by Tsimikas. He's just such a boomer bust player. But I mean, they are favorites, and he probably would take a share of set pieces. I just don't know if it's going to be more of the same as Robertson. Like, you get a discount Robertson. Ooh, congrats on your 7 points, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm cynical about Liverpool right now.
Do you remember when all of us tried the discount Tsimikas in King of the Pitch and all the sharps who played Trent printed?
Oh,
I remember that.
Was that this most recent one?
No, that was the one that you were in, I believe.
I don't even like to think about that one.
The entire slate basically was, Tsimikas was like 70% owned or something, and Trent was like 20, and I think Tsimikas got subbed at half with like 4 points or something, and Trent scores like 25. Just anyway.
All I know about that slate is I played Harry Kane, and I said on the show, it's my one King of the Pitch ticket. I'm going to play my boy Harry Kane at low ownership because we thought he wasn't a good play. I just walk into like 45% ownership on him, so I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to win. And then
that's okay though. You had like 4% Rashford who scored you like 3 points.
Oh, I had all the disgusting plays. I really should have stacked a team, Ryan. Like, I think that's a better strategy after talking to Jordan about it last year. But still, like, I played like a madman. I had Rashford in a good spot at no ownership, Odegaard on a good spot at no ownership. Those games went off, but very curiously, my bad low-owned players did not go off. It's something that we're still looking strongly into this day. Good memories, Ryan. I guess we should talk about goalkeeper. I mean, I don't really care about goalkeeper, especially in Champions League. I feel like in cash, if you want to play this Zagreb goalkeeper, just go for it. I mean, live on the edge, take your -6 or your potential 12 just on a ridiculous amount of saves. There will certainly be shots. Same thing goes for playing the Stuttgart goalkeeper. I don't know, Ryan, any goalkeeper takes?
Not really. I mean, yeah, the Zagreb keeper or the Stuttgart keeper are fine. I don't choose the Lille keeper in these spots. I know like other people do because they're like, oh, let me avoid Bayern and Real and I'll take the next one. But no, I mean, I'd rather take the cheaper guys who have more save upside rather than, I mean, sure for tournaments, but I'd rather get up to Milan keeper at home.
Yeah.
Mike Magnan for 4,400. That seems fine. But yeah, no, I didn't like have a priority. I wasn't trying to like make it a priority to spend up.
Yeah. Let me just say this. If you are thinking that it's cute to play the Lille goalkeeper because maybe, he's too underpriced and the Lisbon guys are significant underdogs, all you need to do is see how many goals Lisbon have scored this season. They're absolutely like windmill dunking on the Portuguese first division. So I don't consider the goalkeeper opposing Victor Gyökeres to be a safe choice in any way whatsoever. Almost if people are playing Lisbon pieces to stir the drink on their lineup, it kind of makes the Lille goalkeeper interesting from a game theory point of view. But this is way too much about goalkeeper, so I think I'll just leave that thought for you and I'll chew on.
You mean for tournaments or cash?
Tournaments.
Oh, I think the Lille keeper for tournaments is a perfectly fine play. Yeah, a lot of upside because, I mean, like Portugal will rain down shots if they're not winning. Or sorry, Sporting will just rain shots if they're not winning. I mean, so yeah, no, good tournament play, and you're right because people will have Sporting pieces, so it makes sense from a game theory perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's keeper.
Yeah.
Could Ryan, be one of those. What?
Go ahead.
Just with it being a 4-game slate, could be one of those slates where one of the cheap keepers is optimal, even conceding 2 or 3 goals. The Zagreb keeper or the Stuttgart keeper concede a couple goals and 7 or 8 saves, finished with 10 or 12 points. Could be one of those slates too.
I think that's a good point. Ryan, Jeff S is in the chat. No please or thank you. He just needs the low-owned good plays. So maybe we can give our people our terrible tournament takes. I'm going to go with Olise. I don't know if he'll be low-owned. He's going to be the most expensive midfield. So the 12K Mikael Antonio corollary applies. He'll see some ownership. But I like Olise as a way to sort of play Bayern in a way that keeps you away from fading. It just doesn't involve the forward position because we have single position eligibility. So Olise is my low-owned, good question mark play. What about you?
I'll stay in midfield for sure. Pulisic and Zagrova. I would say Pedro Pote, but he's not going to be low-owned. He just can't be.
Yeah, he'll be chalk.
So, yeah, Pulisic or Zagrova. Especially if Arda starts.
Yeah, I think midfield is the place where you want to differentiate on the slates and maybe try to get up to a good defender after that appalling discussion. Well, Ryan, I think that was a pretty good breakdown. Nice to have the After Dark show back. These are good work nights discussions for me. I think I sadly have to return to NFL blurbing. Deebo Samuel got injured, so now I have to blurb Chris Conley and Ronnie Bell. Any final words for the people, Ryan?
No final words. Hopefully we can get these contests like close to full. If the contest sizes remain decent, we'll do more pods. Maybe another pod this week if we got a King of the Pitch qualifier, or if contests stay decent. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm begging people to maybe consider entering. Ryan, we can tilt. Sometimes I go in the Discord and people are like, I can only make 3 lineups. I'm like, you literally have an hour and 15 minutes. Like, you can't make 10. Like, come on, make a couple pivots. You don't have to play the same guys in every lineup. Live a little.
Max entered twice this weekend, trying to save the lobby. Just want everybody to know that Max entered for the first time. Successfully, it has to be said. I think you max entered a showdown, and you mentioned max entered put 107 lineups into that $5 contest on Sunday, turned a profit both times. Pretty nice, Jack.
Yeah, you gotta live a little. I like those $5 GPPs. I think they're nice. I think it's it's affordable for me. Like a $25 GPP, I cannot max enter 107 into there.
Right.
Even if I had the machine for that, but live a little, build some teams, have a nice sweat on your Tuesday afternoon. Jeff S says, thank you. I say you're welcome. You're welcome to all the subs. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. Like, subscribe, pay the lobby. and hopefully we'll be back with more shows. Thank you all very much for listening.
Good luck, everybody.